A solemn Mass in honour of St. Joseph was held in Bethlehem at the shrine of St. Joseph's house. According to tradition, this is the place where the Holy Family lived. Many faithful participated in the celebration of the liturgical memory of Saint Marie Alfonsine. The solemn Mass was presided over by His Beatitude Pierbattista Pizzaballa, Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins, in the Church of the Holy Rosary. The opening of the borders marked the return to Jerusalem of the team involved in the Terra Sancta Museum. It was an opportunity to see the progress of the work, but above all to relaunch the economic support activity. In Jerusalem, Father Nicodemus Schnabel, Patriarchal Vicar, inaugurated on the 9th of November a new office for migrants and asylum seekers in the convent of the Missionary Sisters of St. Charles Borromeo. For the past 10 years, the Custody of the Holy Land has been participating in the Open House Jerusalem project. The convent of St. Saviour and the Cenacolino have opened their doors to local visitors, an occasion of knowledge and dialogue. Bethlehem in the Holy Land is well known as the city of Jesus' birth. In the cave inside the Basilica of the Nativity lies the place where the baby Jesus came into the world. 200 meters from here, there is the Milk Grotto, where the Holy Family found refuge, escaping the fury of King Herod, who wanted to kill Jesus. Made of white rock, the cave has this name because, according to tradition, Mary nursed Jesus here. Another little-known spot where Joseph lived with Jesus and Mary is where this Franciscan church stands today.
Questo luogo è chiamato la casa di San Giuseppe per una tradizione certamente sviluppata nel tempo dei crociati, ma che ha la sua origine.
This place is called St. Joseph's house because of a tradition that certainly originated in the Crusader era, but which has its origin in the Gospel of Matthew. It tells of the adoration of the Magi, who came to Jerusalem and then to Bethlehem, stopping where the star stopped. At a certain point, the evangelist narrates that the star stopped and they entered the house, or at least a house. From this we understand that it was a different place. It was not the grotto of the Nativity, but a house where the Magi themselves adored the child and offered him their gifts.
Natività non erano altri posti ma una casa dove gli stessi magi adorarono il bambino e offrirono i loro doni.
As part of the year dedicated to St. Joseph, a solemn Mass was held, presided over by Brother Dobromir Yashtal, Vicar of the Custody of the Holy Land. It was attended by Franciscans and other religious. In his homily, Brother Dobromir said that Saint Joseph is an example of a man of faith and obedience to God.
San Giuseppe, in virtù della sua fede nell'obbedienza, comprende il senso.
Saint Joseph, by virtue of his faith and obedience, understands the meaning of obedience. He does not ask himself what plan God has for him, but he knows that if it is God's plan, it is the right one for him. And what does it teach us? It teaches each of us to have faith, to learn obedience, to know how to dedicate our existence to the service of God's will.
La propria esistenza al servizio della volontà di Dio.
In this and other places where we passed, Saint Joseph left signs of obedience and faith in God's word. May we, in this year dedicated by Pope Francis to the universal patron of the Church, learn more and more with Joseph to always carry out God's will. The liturgical memory of Saint Marie Alfonsine, the founder of the Congregation of the Holy Rosary, was celebrated on Friday, November the 19th at the Holy Rosary Church in Jerusalem.
This feast reminds us of the importance for us to return to the spiritual heritage that our foundress left us and helps us to deepen our monastic and spiritual life. It is a spiritual legacy that has rooted us in this holy land.
The solemn Mass was presided over by His Beatitude Pierbattista Pizzaballa, Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins, together with Monsignor Giacinto Marcuzzo and Monsignor William Shomali, Patriarchal Vicars and a group of priests. Present were some nuns of the congregation from different monasteries and local faithful.
Both the Latin Patriarchate and the Rosary Sisters were created in the 19th century in order to give an answer to a need that was here, pastoral answer, to serve the people, the Christian, the local community here in Holy Land.
The Superior General of the Congregation of the Holy Rosary in Jerusalem, Sister Sophie Hattar, emphasizes that the mission of Saint Marie Alphonsine is a Marian mission in the spirit of the Rosary, and that the Sisters of the Rosary are apostles living the Synod today.
سيدنا البابا فرانسيس أطلق السينودوس للكنيسة جمعاء رسالة شركة.
Communion, participation, and mission are the three key words of the Synod opened by Pope Francis. Marie Alphonsine can be considered a bit like a first apostle, because she was one of the first missionaries to serve in the missions of the Latin Patriarchate in Jordan and Palestine.
إرساليات البطريركية اللاتينية في القدس وفي الأردن وفلسطين.
Maria Alphonsine was a daughter of this church. We have to learn from her not to wait someone to come and solve our problems, but to start working ourselves in order to commit ourselves to improve our life in the light of God.
In his homily, the Patriarch stressed how the Gospel passage on the Beatitudes, read during the Mass, could be applied to the saint's life. He then congratulated Sister Sophie Hattar. It was the first celebration in which she participated as a new Superior General of the Congregation of the Holy Rosary. The Congregation of the Holy Rosary is an Arab congregation, and the children of the Holy Land are very proud of her canonization as a daughter of the Church of Jerusalem. Today we are proud to be part of this country. From her we receive graces and blessings. Let us not forget Saint Marie Alphonsine was chosen by the Virgin Mary to spread Christian education, the message and the word of our Lord to everyone. Before the final blessing, Sister Sophie Hattar thanked the Patriarch, the bishops, all the priests, and all those who participated in the celebration. Together with the Congregation of the Holy Rosary, the Christian Media Center celebrates the liturgical memory of its founder, Saint Marie Alphonsine. From November the 3rd to the 10th, a delegation made up of members of the Scientific Committee of the Terra Sancta Museum, the Mansart Foundation and several French senators were in Jerusalem to support an ambitious project that will allow residents and tourists to discover and understand the Christian dimension of Jerusalem. As you can see, we are working on the structural part of the museum, the levelling of the floors, the opening of some doors, the moving of some pillars, the flow of sewage. This is a rather complicated project that will require several more months of work before we can begin to think about the installation of the display cases and the completion of the museum.
À l'installation des vitrines et compléter le musée.
Ecco, quindi è un lavoro di equipe che coinvolge chiaramente dal punto di vista tecnico sia l'ufficio tecnico della custodia, Leonardo Di Marco, l'ingegnere.
All of this work is done as a team. The technical office of the custody of the Holy Land with its architects and engineers along with other architectural experts. The workers on the site are mostly local Christians who have had the opportunity to develop new skills and techniques of restoration and consolidation, such as the complex injections of liquid cement that we have carried out within this space.
L'opportunità di crescere dal punto di vista professionale con l'implementazione di nuove tecniche di restauro, di consolidamento di edifici, come le iniezioni di malta di calce che abbiamo realizzato all'interno di questi spazi.
While the work continues in Jerusalem, in Paris the foundation Mansart voluntarily collaborates with the Terra Sancta Museum. Its vocation is to support projects that preserve and safeguard a heritage of great interest.
Alors, cette fondation Mansart héberge un certain nombre de fondations qu'on appelle des fondations abritées, dont une fondation que nous avons créée récemment.
The Mansart Foundation is home to a number of foundations that we call protected, and Amici Terra Sancte, which we recently created, is one of them. Its purpose is to help fund this museum, which is currently under construction. This is a cultural mission which is part of the vocation of our foundation, and which does not have at its centre the financing of the usual charitable works of the custody. It is linked to the French heritage, thanks to the very ancient presence in the Holy Land with the protection of the holy places and the religious communities, but also with the collections of the future museum, most of which come from donations by the kings of France. We have just seen sacred vessels, vestments and chasubles donated by the kings of France, which attest to the French presence.
Qui ont été donnés par les rois de France et qui montrent la présence française.
An architectural and artistic heritage of great diversity that reaffirms Jerusalem's local and universal vocation. Father Nicodemus Schnabel, Patriarchal Vicar for Migrants and Asylum Seekers, blessed a new office for the Vicariate located at the Convent of the Missionary Sisters of St. Charles Borromeo in Jerusalem on the 9th of November.
I'm a Benedictine. We have a very long-standing good relationship between the Borromean Sisters of St. Charles and the Benedictines, and they make us really a very good offer. And it was very clear I was looking for a place in West Jerusalem because I'm in charge of all migrants and asylum seekers in Israel. So West Jerusalem was the place to be, and also in the neighborhood is St. Rachel, one of the very important pastoral centers of my vicariate.
Born in 2018 for the purpose of taking care of migrants and asylum seekers in all aspects, from pastoral care, education, sacraments. It is certainly the largest of all. It includes more than 100,000 people.
You see in my office, we are 5 here. It's one sister from Zimbabwe, one sister from Italy, one sister from Germany, a Coptic Christian. We are a little bit the invisible Christianity inside the Latin Patriarchate. We as international, serving international community, and yeah, that's a little bit Pentecost.
Father Nicodemus emphasizes in his interview how God does not ask for a passport. I am German, and as a foreigner I help foreigners in this country. The Vicariate for Migrants and Asylum Seekers in the Holy Land gives special attention to young refugees through various activities, such as extracurricular programs in schools, youth programs, childcare and provision of educational services.
Now the Pope is coming to Cyprus, and if you know the program, he will visit the migrant community, and especially if you listen to our Holy Father, Pope Francis, the pastoral care for the migrants and refugees, asylum seekers, is very deep at his heart. And so I'm really happy that here the Church of Jerusalem really listening very carefully to the message of Pope Francis and give a valid response.
Discovering the architectural treasures, being able to admire up close the most fascinating buildings, churches and houses in the Holy City is possible thanks to Open House Jerusalem, a project of the municipality of Jerusalem which promotes guided tours of significant buildings and monuments, and to which for the past 10 years the custody of the Holy Land has also adhered. We are at the convent of St. Francis at the Cenacle on Mount Zion, which is usually closed to the public, especially during these COVID years, when not even groups came. We have thrown the door of the convent wide open. Already about 100 people have arrived, all Israelis, very curious to know a little bit about this place, a little bit about the Franciscans, about Christianity.
Le porte aperte di Gerusalemme e la porta è sempre chiusa qui. Allora, un'occasione di venire qui.
The open doors of Jerusalem, but the door here is always closed. And today is an opportunity to be here, a formidable experience. I think it's very important to see everything, to meet people who love Israel, Jerusalem. Like me, I love Jerusalem, and I was born here. And Jerusalem is very complicated, but I love everyone. There are Arabs, Jews, Ethiopians. Jerusalem is wonderful. The whole world is here. You see, I came today without knowing that I would find someone from Budapest, from Italy.
Era qualcuno di Budapest. E sono venuto lì e ho visto qualcuno d'Italia.
First of all, I'm an architect, so I love buildings, I love churches, and so I'm always curious to see churches all around the world. And now when I heard that they're opening this place for the first time, or I didn't know this place existed because we passed here and it was closed, so I wanted to come and see. It's an opportunity to check this out.
There are 2 days on the calendar to discover these little gems. Friday afternoon for a visit to the Cenacolino, and Saturday morning guided by the friars to the custody's main convent, St. Saviour.
Well, I live in Jerusalem and I traveled here many times, but I was never inside. So I see it from outside and I was very curious. I love churches and ancient buildings, so I was really happy when I saw that this place is going to be open. It's beautiful. I'm especially very much I'm amazed by this chapel because it's so modern and not what I would have expected, and it's beautiful.
We will have 2 groups. We have limited the number to 30 participants for each group, and they will visit the most mysterious, curious places of the convent, the church, refectory, the cellars, which have been recently discovered, the room of Mother Pearl, and, weather permitting, the roof. The visit to the Franciscan places is not only an opportunity to know new places, but also a chance to make an experience almost unknown to most of those present. We will tell a little bit about who the Franciscans are, the role of the custody of the Holy Land. Often the questions will range over the world of Christianity, traditions, feasts, what we believe in, how long we have been here, what is the role of Christians today, the number. They become 2 days of great opportunity for mutual discovery, knowledge and dialogue.